It's time for another edition of MetsMusings.
Hi, this is Ron Darling. This is Skip Lockwood.
Hi, I'm Ron Swoboda of the 69 New York Mets, and you're listening to MetsMusings with Gary Mack.
Now it's time for some New York Mets baseball talk. Here's Gary Mack bringing you the latest news and analysis from Mets Nation and the world of baseball on another edition of Mets Musings.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Mets Musings, and we are going to have part two of our roundtable from a couple of weeks ago. I hope you will enjoy that as we close it out. But before we get to that, there is some Mets news. Acting General Manager Zach Scott will not return to the New York Mets after being placed on administrative leave following an arrest on drunk driving charges in August, and that is according to multiple reports. Scott's dismissal hardly a surprise after the New York Mets fell apart in the second half of the season, missed the playoffs, and didn't think he was going to stay. The Mets have yet to hire a president of baseball operations or a general manager. Now they're looking at and having a hard time getting people to even apply for the job. It seems that a lot of people are not interested in coming to New York. And, you know, we have this thing in New York that we are New York City. Everybody wants to come here. No, they don't. No, they don't. People may have a good job where they are. Maybe they've got a family. Maybe they've got kids in school. They don't want to uproot it. Don't like it. Billy Beane didn't want to bring his family to the East Coast. He likes his life in Oakland, sunny weather, California. You know, what can New York offer other than more money and more headaches? So don't get this in your head that because it's the New York Mets that everybody wants to come here. They don't. They just don't. There are some other issues, granted. I'm sure there's organizational issues that are part of the problem. Maybe even Steve Cohen is part of the problem. Sandy Alderson is part of the problem. But let's also consider that people like where they are, and in this day and age, you can make a lot of money and be in a place where there's less scrutiny, be in a job where there's less scrutiny. Maybe everybody's not as ambitious as everybody else. Who knows? It does seem odd that you would think that they would be able to land somebody and not have all these people decline. But who knows? They'll eventually find somebody, and we probably won't like the choice, but it's going to happen. And to get some insight, perhaps, on what the problem is, there's a terrific article by Mike Puma in the New York Post, in an interview he did with Chili Davis, the former hitting coach. And Chili kind of leaves a scorched earth policy, if you will. He takes no prisoners in this interview, and he claims a lot of it is, the organization's got people in it that are been there a long time. They need fresh voices. They need fresh people. They need a new attitude. That's part of the problem. And he said when he was replaced, the two hitting coaches that came in were more worried about process over results. And as Chili says in the interview, the results are lousy. That means the process must be lousy. And he claims Conforto wouldn't have hit so bad if he was a hitting coach. And you know what? I agree with him 150%. If he was here with Michael Conforto would not. I have said this many, many times this season that the analytics and whatever the processes they were going through with Michael Conforto was totally wrong, and that they were ruining him. And one of my favorite players, and I'm sorry to say that he probably won't be back next year because of it. Maybe it was done on purpose. Who knows? You know, he's a Scott Boras client. He's coming into a free agent year. Maybe the Mets thought I can't believe that they would want him to fail. But you never know. We get off to a slow start. I just think when you look up and down the lineup that McNeil didn't hit. Conforto didn't hit. Guys struggled. Smith didn't do what he did the year before. It had to be something. And if you've got a hitting coach that's looking at the process of what they're doing and not the results, as Chili Davis says, that if the results are lousy, the process must stink. So it's a terrific article. Catch it. You can catch it online on the New York Post app, but catch it somewhere because it is really an eye opener. He goes on to say about now former acting general manager Zach Scott that he's not really a baseball guy. He doesn't think he's more of an analytics guy. And he respects Steve Cohen, but maybe he's got to take a different approach because his business is big in analytics. But you gotta have some you gotta have some feel for the game. You can't have all the analytics in the world. And he goes on to discuss a lot of things. The lineups were pre-built, and but you don't, somebody upstairs doesn't know how a player feels in the batter's box or in the batting cage. And the coaches are there. The coaches should be able to say, maybe you should sit him, Skip. This guy doesn't feel well today. He's got a headache. He's got a sore hand. He's got something or other. Sit him down. And he goes into other details about change-ups, and they were told about in a game that Jake Arrieta was pitching against them that he's averaging seven change-ups a game, and the Mets, Chili Davis says he remembered him throwing more than that, and in this particular game he did. He ended up throwing it, or maybe 7% at the time. He ended up throwing it 15% or what, and completely baffled them because they had not prepared for that, and he wondered where the analytics. It's all in the article. It's a great article. I'll try to get him on Mike Puma if we can, but a terrific article. So go check it out. And it really opens some eyes into not only the world of baseball, the world of analytics, the Mets itself, their organization. There's some things in there that are very interesting. So go check it out. And let's see. The Mets announced the 4 players: Jose Martinez, Jose Peraza, Robert Stock, and Corey Oswalt have all cleared outright waivers. Each one has elected for free agency. The Mets have a significant haul of players sent at the open market this winter. Marcus Strowman, Noah Syndergaard, Rich Hill, Aaron Loop, Jeurys Familia, Brad Hand, Heath Hembry, Javier Baez, Jonathan Villar, and Michael Conforto. And you can add Kevin Pillar to that as he's opted for free agency. The Mets had an option that they declined, and he had a player's option that he declined. So Kevin Pillar is also free agency. The Mets also have many of their best players arbitration eligible this winter, including Pete Alonso, Jeff McNeil, J.D. Davis, Luis Guillorme, Brandon Nimmo, Tomas Nido, Joey Lucchesi, Trevor Williams, Edwin Diaz, Seth Lugo, Miguel Castro, Robert Giselman, and Drew Smith. And of the bunch, it looks like, Lucchesi and Giselman could be non-tender. Giselman did come back at the end of the year and pitch. Lucchese is out with Tommy John surgery. They could non-tender him a contract and then offer him some kind of deal. He's not going to pitch this year anyway. We don't even know if we're going to have baseball this year anyway. So, but still, you have to go on as if there is going to be, of course, there's going to be a season. You cannot sit on your laurels. But that's that. Okay. That's the news up to the minute that I've got. And we are going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with part 2 of our roundtable discussion right after this.
Baseball and BBQ, your place for interesting baseball talk, opinions, and history.
Baseball and BBQ, your place for barbecue recipes, tips, and interviews from the world of barbecue. If you like baseball and if you like barbecue, then tune in to Baseball and BBQ. Find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and BaseballTalkRadio.com.
Wouldn't it be great if you could get a PhD in life through baseball? Welcome to Baseball PhD, a tour company for your brain. 30 major league teams, 100 places to see. Let's touch them all as we make the road trip of a lifetime.
Follow me on Facebook at facebook.com/MetsMusings, on Twitter at MetsMusingsGM, the Instagram is MetsMusings, and on YouTube at MetsMusings Mack. Wish to be a part of the show? Give us a call at 516-619-6341. And so I don't know how you guys feel about signing Baez and not. I wouldn't do it for the reasons that we've been discussing, that they don't have a manager, general manager. You know, if you hire you get your general manager, you get your manager, then their philosophy doesn't work with Baez. He doesn't fit into their philosophy. I mean, then what are you going to do? Then you got a guy you're paying 40, 30 million, whatever he's going to ask for and get. And you know, he's still swinging for the fences and striking out when you got a manager who's preaching contact. They do things ass backwards in this this organization is so dysfunctional that even a change in ownership didn't do anything.
Gary,
it's almost like they got to, you know, fire everybody, ticket takers, vendors,
hello,
you know, accountants. No offense.
But you're going to blow the whole thing up. And
Gary,
at the same time, you say, let me just finish quickly, Len. If you're going to do that, so be it. That's fine. But at the same time, you're saying sign a Freddie Freeman or an Anthony Rizzo, which kind of goes against the logic of just blowing the whole thing up. I guess we'll talk about Baez shortly, but I interrupted Len, and I apologize for that. So, Len,
well, I tried to interrupt Gary, so Barry.
Well, we interrupt Len all the time.
Yeah, but so here, this is what I say. What you're saying, because I wanted to get in. You're talking about Baez, and is it going to be with the new management? Is right. You have to get your house in order before you invite guests.
I agreed.
Did you get that? You have to get your house in order before you invite in guests.
Len, can I quote you on that?
That is my quote. I made that up, and I used it here on Mets Musings. I should have used it on Baseball and Barbecue. But that is what they need to do. Their house is not in order. So you can't invite anybody. You can't. I mean, I know I'm joking around, but it's actually very true. You're right. You're right. They do everything half-ass backwards. You know what? I'm surprised they'll probably sign a manager, right? And then they'll bring in the GM and then they'll bring in the GM, right? And so
we'll have a completely different philosophy.
Right. They need to get the top done, and then it can flow down, and then they can get the players. But they move like snails. They move so slowly, and I know they're getting rejected and they're being told they can't talk to people. But I can't believe that they don't send out multiple feelers and bring people in. What is the deal? Is it one a week?
Of course.
You know, come on. They've got to do that, because then these players, you know what? Baez won't be around. If they want Baez, it'll be like, I couldn't wait for you guys. Other players, same thing. They've got to get together quickly. Get the house in order.
Well,
then you invite the guests.
They'll have a month window, as everybody else will, between the end of the World Series and the contract expiring on December 1st. Will they be able to come to some agreement on a contract? I don't know. It doesn't seem to, but I don't know how far off they are. I think one of the main sticking points now is they want to do away with the what is it, the service time or something. And I read it the other day, and I should have saved it. I forgot what it was, but the union wants some ridiculous thing like they can become a free agent in a couple of years, and you can't have a guy that they signed at 16 or something. You know what I mean?
Well, I think the owners counter proposal will make all players like free agents at age 29 and a half, which to your point, Gary,
like that.
Which to your point, you know, a guy like Juan Soto would be with the Nationals for 10 years.
Yeah.
You know, so they're not going to go for that.
They're not going to go. The union won't go for that.
Right, the union won't go for that.
Yeah. But no, I could make it 27 or something, 28 or something. But some guys don't come up until they're 25.
Right.
But at least you get a couple of years out of it. I mean, you know, I don't know what the answer is. Haven't heard anything about the DH. That's another thing. I mean, it's just a mess. And this team is just such a mess because they've got, 38 designated hitters on their roster. And nobody to play left field.
Right.
It's nuts.
Well, when Steve Cohen came in last year, after this is what year one. They expected miracles to, win the World Series in year one. That's so unrealistic. I mean, year two is going to be unrealistic. I mean, I really blame them. I really do blame the media for a lot of that. They love to gaslight the Mets fans. And they love when the Mets losing because that's their story. That's when they get the clicks. You don't see that happen with the Yankees. Not at all.
But I think, too, he didn't help matters by saying that they're going to win a World Series in 5 years, and I'm going to spend the money, and I'm going to do all that. And then the whole debacle with the general manager, and then the pictures coming out, and then it came out about Callaway, who was here, and
who knew? I guess people knew about Callaway, but this regime didn't. This regime did not hire Callaway.
Well, but apparently Alderson knew about it.
But Alderson didn't hire Callaway because wasn't. I might have got the timeline.
He did.
He did. Okay, yeah. But then okay.
Or he kept him, right?
Right.
Well, no, he did hire him initially, and I think Van Wagenen didn't. He inherited Callaway.
All right, but I remember Alderson leaving for a time. I don't know if that was before he hired Callaway or after. I don't remember, but
I think I think he hired Callaway. But anyway, it's all of that.
The diagnosis.
Callaway is a better golf club than it is a manager.
That's right.
Can I quote you on that one?
Fine product.
And that refers to Gary's other show. Golf
Chip
show.
Shots.
Right. I'm trying to give you some plugs there, Gary.
Available on YouTube and podcasts.
Chip Shots. And there's a new edition out today. So go check it out on YouTube and on anchor.fm/chipshots.
You're welcome.
All right, Carlos Carrera gets an operation. Carlos Carrasco, I should say. Removed bone fragments from his right elbow. He'll be okay for spring training. I think we told us that last year, right? That he was going to be available for spring training. Then tore his hamstring, and we saw him in September.
This was I hope he gets better, but it's really a non-story. If he's going to be ready in spring training, let do what he needs to do to get ready. That's what's really a non-story.
Do we sign Syndergaard?
Len, I can let you go before me.
I think you have to. Yes, I think you have to. This is one of those where you have to sign Syndergaard. It's tough because obviously he's coming off of the surgery, but if he walks, I mean, what do you? Yeah, you got to sign. You got to sign Syndergaard. You got to take a chance. Another team will definitely take a chance on him. And we talk about Cohen with all this money. That's an investment you have to do. You have to sign him. I'm not saying you have to give him this huge contract, which he might get somewhere else. I doubt it, but you got to do something. You got to keep him.
Well, the qualifying offer is $18.4 million.
No, you got to give it to him.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously.
But I agree with you, Lynn. I mean, you got to keep Syndergaard. But let's point out that I think last year Corey Kluber got, coming off Tommy John surgery, got $11 million. I mean, and we know that the first year back after, Tommy John surgery is not always the best. I mean, when Wheeler came back, he was good for half a season, and then he regressed and came back for another half season. Yeah, obviously everybody's different. And I think, look, I love Syndergaard, but $18 million is a lot for a guy who you to take a chance on for, who knows what's going to happen the first year after Tommy John surgery. Now, I would be open to, maybe a 2 or 3 year incentive laden contract where it's less than $18 million. But then again, it's not my money. Mets can certainly afford it. But what Cohen doing is going to raise it up for everybody else, which I know the owner is not going to be very happy about. But then again, who cares?
You're talking about like a 3 year, $30 million, $24 million
That's not a bad idea.
And laid in it, so it could go up to 50 or 60.
Exactly. And in the first year, I don't expect a lot in the first year. So make it a gradual climb. Each year. Yeah.
Barry, yay or nay?
I have no problem offering Syndergaard the qualifying offer. It is a lot of money to give an $18 million contract coming off of basically not pitching for 2 seasons. But where the Mets, if they're going to invest in the free agent market, it's got to be in pitching. You never have too much pitching. When we even saw the Dodgers, who we thought had more pitching than anybody in the history of baseball, have it fall apart on them when 3 top starters went down and they couldn't overcome it. But let's go back to Baez, because you brought it up a couple of minutes ago, Gary, because it's a tough call. On one hand, I agree with everything you said about him, the strikeouts and all the other craziness with the thumbs down. But he also has the athleticism that I'm just wondering if anybody else on the Mets has. And the Mets defense is below par. I won't say it's terrible because statistically they actually improved this year, but you have to be strong up the middle, and you put Baez at second with Lindor at short. You still have Nimmer, who turned out to be a pretty decent center fielder. You have McCann, who was okay as a defensive catcher. And you have a good start, at least as a defensive team. And then the other positions, they could use a third baseman. They really could use a third baseman. They'll probably need a right fielder. They'll probably offer Conforto the qualifier, and he probably won't take it. And that leaves you with positions that are open, and maybe just fill in until the Vientos and the Beatties and Mauricio, like you said, comes up not as a shortstop, obviously. And also another thing, I'll get back to the free agency in a second. When the Mets traded for Lindor, and of course when they traded for him, considering who they gave up to get him, they had to sign him. They just had to. Did anybody on either side think maybe there should have been an opt-out clause? Because I don't think there is one. And it would sure be nice if both sides had one, in case Lindor hated it here or was a total bust, which he pretty much was, even though he had a good September in his first season. His year was terrible. Or maybe it would give him an opt-out if he just didn't want to stay. But as far as I know, his 10-year contract, which starts next season, has no opt-out clause. So, I mean, I don't think it does. If I'm wrong about that, please tell me. But getting back to what the Mets should do, I think they almost have to offer Syndergaard the qualifying offer, or try to, like Jeff said, sign it to maybe a 2 or 3 year deal. But let's say, we'll throw a number out there. Let's say 36 million to 40 million with some incentives on number of innings or games he starts. So that 36 to 40 million can jump up to, let's say, 50 to 55 million, and then just spend the rest of the free agent money on pitching, because again, you never have too much pitching. The pitching staff, obviously, after DeGrom went down this year, was toasted. The bullpen was overused, and it was a disaster. So where the starting pitching comes from, I'm not really sure, but there are quality pitchers out there. The Giants certainly used it to their advantage with a lot of guys that you wouldn't think of as top pitchers, but it got them to 107 wins. So if you're asking me, Baez, I'm 50-50 on it. It would not break my heart if he walked, but I would have no problem with him staying either. Not for a ridiculous 10-year contract with no opt-out, but let's just say, and again, he may not take it, but if you offer him, say, a 4-year deal or maybe a 5-year deal, and he's your everyday second baseman for the next 5 years, I think I'd be okay with that, in spite of the flaws in his game.
There is no opt-out provision in the contract. There is a 15-team no trade clause, but no opt-out provisions. So they are stuck with each other for 10 years. So just thought I'd bring that up. What about Marcus Strowman, another free agent pitcher?
Sign him.
He was, Len, he's right. He was the best pitcher on the Mets this year. I mean, notwithstanding the Grom, this guy's took every start. My only concern with Strowman, and he's asking for a lot of money, but they all are. I get it. But for starting pitching, I mean, you're asking a pitcher to go 5 innings, 5 1/3, and they're out. I mean, that's crazy. This pitch to give that guy money, so much money for half a game, unless they make it 7 innings game, then it's most of the game. But you know what I mean. It's crazy money.
It's almost a complete game.
Yeah, it's crazy money to pitch into the 6th inning. But I know that's the way the baseball's going.
That's the way it's going, unfortunately. And he did get the qualifying offer already, so they cannot make him a qualifying offer. And he got last year? I think it was 17.5 million, something like that was the qualifying offer.
Actually, it was 18.9. It actually went down this year. It was 18.9.
Oh, it went down this year. Okay, yeah. 18. So that means he's got to be looking. The lowest he'll probably go is 20 million a year, and he'll probably want 7 years. He's probably going to look for something like 7 to 10, 200, something like that, I would guess. You know what? I don't know. I'd offer him 5 at 125. That's 25 million a year. I like to keep things even numbers. It's easier. Yeah. I don't have to do difficult math then.
And I'll be insulted.
Exactly in this contract is what you're talking about.
And I'll be insulted with that contract.
Yeah.
Well, if that insults him, then you let him walk. because that's a
Yeah,
good deal.
that's what
That's
I
a
say.
good offer.
That's a good deal.
Yeah, that's a good
for
offer.
a 500, and
Mhm.
and he's still a 500 career pitcher.
Yes,
Right.
that's a very
Hey,
good offer. Yes.
You know who
You know.
I would have said? I would have said someone like Max Scherzer, who's an ace, who's a bulldog who goes out there every day. But then this past week in the playoffs, he couldn't go for Game 6 because he had fatigue. Now, like I said, I'm an old coot. I remember the days when pitchers used to go pitch one game 1, 4, and 7 in the World Series or playoffs. They don't do that anymore.
Yeah,
but
in his defense, he does pitch a lot.
Yeah.
He pitches a lot and doesn't really miss a term. So I can understand that he may have had some fatigue at this point of the season, and he is 37.
But to give money like that, you got to be a guy like that.
Well, you got to be, but you got to use him wiser. That's the thing, it seems like he was pitching every other day once he got teamed to the Dodgers. It seemed every time they were on TV with Scherzer. So I didn't. Who knows? Maybe they overworked him. Maybe they should have took him out of the game a couple of innings earlier. Especially since they knew they had the wild card sewed up. So
maybe
I don't know.
Maybe they trade for Bauer. Let the Dodgers pay him. We'll take him off his hands and let him pitch for us.
Bauer?
I'm only kidding. I'm only kidding.
Yeah, that would go.
I'm
could
only
put
kidding
him with
there.
our GM.
In this city, I don't think that would work.
No, that was good though, Jeff. That's what this show needs: controversy.
Well, I'm saying
that's why people will listen.
The Dodgers will pay him, and we'll do something for us.
Exactly. We'll give him a bag of balls.
Matt Harvey's a free agent again.
Oh, please. Please. I mean, you know what? I got to say something about Matt Harvey. For all of the, for how much abuse he took when, he was partying and whatever, he has certainly done everything possible to stay in the game. He works his butt off. Everything you hear about his teammates all say how hard he works. The guy is really busting it to try and stay in the game. So you got to give him a lot of credit. Matt Harvey he deserves a lot of credit because he obviously is not the Matt Harvey he once was, and yet he's doing everything he can to stay in the game, and it can't be easy. So
because I think he owes Scott Boras money, probably. He's got to make it back. Matt Harvey.
Right now, when you're getting pounded like every start, and unfortunately, he was on a good roll. Then he ran into the Mets. They annihilated him.
Matt Harvey needs to move to the bullpen. He needs to do what Oliver Perez did. He needs to be a 1 or 2 inning guy where he can just cut it loose and redeem his career. That's where his rebirth in a career is going to be. Will he do it? Who knows? Scott Boras will probably talk him out of it, but that's what he's got to do. He seems he can get by an inning or two. He's always going to have games, of course, where they're going to bomb him. Everybody has it out of the bullpen. We know that. But if I think he could be a formidable relief pitcher, either in a short role or a setup, or a closer or a setup role. But he's got to have that mentality, and he's got to get to that point. And we will see. Aaron Loop is another guy that they're going to lose. They're definitely going to lose him, I think, to free agency. He's a free agent, and people are going to be interested. Dodgers are probably going to jump all over him.
Again, good pitcher for the Mets. But 1 inning, he pitched 54 innings. And he's
that's his job.
I understand that, but $3-4 million to pitch 50 innings. It's a lot of money.
Yeah, I know. It's a lot of money, but
the way the game is going, guys. That is the way the game is going.
You're absolutely right, Len.
That's why we're paying $30 a ticket or whatever they go for now.
It's you can't put you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. I mean, it is what it is.
I did yesterday. I did it.
You were able to?
Yeah.
Now, Len, now you're just plagiarizing quotes. I heard that one before.
Yeah, no, that one I didn't make up. Okay, that one's not mine. But no, but these guys, and especially now with the relievers having such a prominent role, I understand 54. It's crazy to think that he pitched 54 innings. That's wow.
Seemed like he pitched more. He seemed like he was in every day, didn't it?
Yeah. Well,
Michael Conforto.
Ooh.
Sign or no sign?
I don't think we sign him. I don't think he takes the qualifying offer. And with that agent, I think he's gone.
Yeah, he's gone. I give him a qualifying offer. He'll say no, which for him, I mean, he had a lousy year. I mean,
let him walk.
Yeah, but you know what, Glenn? His agent's going to compare him to Bryce Harper, which he's not even close.
That's why I said I would let him walk. I would not sign Conforto.
Like a 250 career hitter after what, 6 years now? Not worth it. But you're going to give him a qualifying offer. They'll decline it. He'll sign. I think he'll sign with Seattle because apparently it's a haven for former Met players, and they're on their way up, and it's near his home in Oregon.
And he'll win the AL MVP, win the Triple Crown.
And then Joe Shermans of the world would go LOL.
And a Gold Glove.
Yeah. And like I said, Joe Shermans of the world, they're going to be laughing at the Mets again because that's what they love.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. But you know what? It's a case of we become in love with our players. Conforto is, he's a Met, but you can't fall in love with the players. I'll tell you
exactly what happened to Conforto. The coaching in this city, this town, they screwed him up so bad because they, one guy's telling them one thing, one guy's telling them another. I think when he came up, he was such a pure hitter. Boom, left field, center field, hit all over, all fields. Then they come here and right away they want him to hit home runs. So he hits 35 home runs, and then they go, oh, great, you're a home run hitter. No, he was a hitter that could hit home runs. But you cannot take these guys and try to make them all into power hitters. It's like Sandy Alderson is on this thing. His two biggest things seem to be pitchers that throw the ball 100 miles an hour and hitters that hit home runs. And if they strike out 300 times in a year or 200 times, he's okay with that. As long as they hit 35 home runs, 30, 40 home runs. And you can't, that's not a winning attitude to have. I'm sorry. I don't think so. I think the game is evolving again, and it's going to evolve back to basic baseball. You see, the Astros don't, they've got hitters that can hit home runs. They're not all trying to hit home. Look at Altuve. The guy won a batting title, and he can hit 27, 30 home runs. And he steals bases. Not so much this year, but they try. They run. They even bunted. It's evolving back, and the Mets are always on the tail end. So when it starts to evolve back to the power, the Mets will be going to the speed. They're like behind everything, and I don't know why. And you got to almost wonder: is it Alderson? Is Alderson the guy that's screwing up this organization at this point?
Gary, I got a question for you. How long have you been doing Mets Musings?
10 years.
Okay, so you've done Mets Musings during prosperous times, and you've done Mets Musings during disastrous
bad times,
right? Okay.
Yeah.
Jeff and I had a couple of people on our podcast, and they were from a Mets podcast. And I brought up the point with them that
you can mention their names.
Okay. It's the Metsian podcast, right? It's Mike LeColant and Sam Maxwell. And
terrific guys.
Yes, absolutely. I just
great guys. Been on their podcast.
Yes, you have, and they are great. And they're not Gary Mack though, and they would tell you right away they are no Gary Mack, because I know Gary Mack, and they are no Gary Mack. Gary Mack. Anyway, can we get back to the point? So
Yeah.
I asked them, I said, do you guys feel, and I only thought of this because, you know, you have obvious reasons to rant and to be upset, and you do this weekly, and it can definitely get to you sometimes, I'm sure. I asked them, I said, do you guys think that you have better shows when the Mets are not doing well and you can complain and rant, or when they are doing well? Now, they, of course, want the Mets to do well, but that wasn't the question I asked them. So I'm going to ask you, do you find that when the Mets were doing well, that you did shows that you enjoyed doing more than when you get to rant about the Mets?
It's a twofold answer, really. I would have to say that you can probably do a better show when they're lousy, because you do get to rant. However, if you do it too much, it starts to turn people off too, because why does somebody want to tune in and listen to you rant every week? So it's a tough balancing act, and I ran into that problem this year and skipped weeks because I was so ticked off, and that I said, well, you know, last week I was ticked off. I can't keep doing this every week, because then it's not fun for me. It's not that much fun either, because I got to do a podcast. Oh, they suck again. They lost 5 out of 7. You know, it's different. It's not easy. It's very different. Even if you have a guest on, it's hard, because then you're like, all right, so what are you guys doing? What do you think the Mets should do? And then blah blah. And it's very difficult. It is. It's you need a combination of a good season with some bad breaks in it, or something, so you can rant every now and then about something, but for the most part be on more of an even keel. That's the best answer I can give you to that question. It's you know, I don't know what they said, but it's a difficult situation.
Okay.
I hope that answers your question.
Yes.
Good,
I
good
forgot for a
question.
second. This isn't our show.
I'm sorry, Barry.
No, that's a great question. It's food for thought. And Gary, I do agree with you. At some point, you're just repeating yourself. When you see the same silly fundamental errors they make. How much can you say the same thing without turning your audience off? But at the same time, you always end your show with to keep the faith.
Well,
stay optimistic and let's
yeah.
go. And I'm sure trying, even though the evidence points to the contrary. I guess
And
that's what we're talking about tonight.
You know, there were a couple of shows this year I couldn't even bring myself to say that. I just ended the show because I couldn't say it because I didn't feel it. How am I going to tell? I just ranted for half an hour. And how am I going to tell everybody, well, keep the faith when obviously I had lost mine.
You've lost your way.
And remember, the Astros had to endure 3 100-loss seasons before they went on this tremendous run they're on, the 3 pennants in 5 years. Try selling that to the Mets fans who were now 35 years without a world championship, that you're going to blow the thing up, but you're going to have to endure.
No, but you can't do that in New York.
Of course you can. Now, in the early
you can't do that in New York, but there's a way.
In the early 80s, when the Mets were terrible, they could Astros 100 lost terrible, but they were a bad team until the second half of 1983. And then gradually you saw the strawberries come up.
There's a way to do it properly, though, to be able to turn it around.
Yeah,
you have to
do a precision.
Yeah,
a precision blow up.
Yeah, look what the Yankees did. I mean, not too many years ago, they traded Chapman,
They got him back.
They got him back. They rebuilt. I mean, they didn't win anything. Obviously, we know they didn't win anything yet. They didn't win the World Series yet. By the way, the Mets are the last New York team to make it to the World Series. Just want to point that out. But they're always competitive. They're always getting, and they didn't do a complete blow up. They just,
and the Braves did the same thing. They had a couple of bad years. They went down to the bottom of the division, and but they were building in the minors, and that goes along with what Len said about building in. Instead of trading a Kellenic and trading the Pete, the guy they just traded this year, they should have kept those guys. They really didn't need a Cano.
Or a Diaz.
I mean,
I still say the only way to justify that trade is one day the Mets are the last team standing and Diaz is on the mound. That's the only way that trade's going to be justified.
Yeah, unfortunately, he's going to be facing Kellenberg back, and he's going to hit a 3-run homer and win the World Series for Seattle.
I said the only way it's going to be justified if he's on the last guy on the mound winning.
But remember this, guys. The Mets have still been in more World Series than any other expansion team. And even if, Houston is going into its 4th World Series, so they're still one behind. So it's all matter if you want to measure success that way.
Wow.
You're
really grasping. You're grasping at straws there.
Well, I'm trying to stick with that. Keep the faith, stay optimistic, and let's go laundry. I mean, of course, I'm joking about it, but I'm trying to find some positivity here. But Jeff, you're right when you mentioned the Yankees, how they basically did, I don't want to say tank a season, but they gave up a lot. And then within the next year, they were right back in the Braves too. And unfortunately, where the Mets are, it's probably going to be slower than that. And one other thing, let's be honest here. They've had some incredibly bad luck these last couple of years.
It's part of baseball.
But they were winning. They were winning when they had all those injuries.
Mm.
And then when the guys started coming back, they went into the tank. I mean, that's the weird part about last year. You would have thought that when they started getting starters back, that they were really going to go on a roll or at least maintain. And they just went, Foomp. I mean, what were they? The second half, it was incredible, the numbers. It was awful.
But remember, there was the Grom wasn't there. So that you can't dismiss that.
Well, no, but they had gotten by with him being out earlier in the season as well. So, I'm not putting it all on DeGrom.
But a lot of it, yeah. But you got to put a lot of it on him.
No, I put it on the bad heading.
There's still a low 80s win team.
Barry, you mentioned it earlier where they just couldn't get runners in from second and third base with less than 2 outs. That's the problem. It's always been a problem. And maybe the guys are trying to hit home runs, but you got to get that guy in from third base. That's the biggest thing.
How many times did they have the bases loaded in the first, second, third innings and got nothing?
Right.
With nobody out.
Exactly. That's the problem.
They got nothing in. That's what the problem was.
So that is a big problem. Maybe the biggest problem. I will concede that if we're putting in order of the biggest problem, it's right up there with the DeGrom injury. I mean, that statistic that I mentioned before, it is incredible.
Yes. It's a tough thing. It's we don't know what they're gonna do. And again, with the bargaining agreement, had to think about it there. I'm getting like Biden. You just can't tell what the heck is gonna go on and what to do. Do you sign these guys now? Do you wait? That's why it was so important to get somebody in here, a general manager and a president, or a combined one, and even get a manager in so you can see what his philosophy is going to be. And and again, I'm very big on philosophy. They have to develop a philosophy that goes from the top to the rookie league, because you can't keep teaching these guys different things in the minors, and then they get up here and they got all this video and all this other crap, and then they're stepping into the batter's box. Barry, you know that. You get up to the tee, and if you're thinking, I got to keep my right arm stiff and this, that, and the other, and I got to bring my left, you can't hit the ball. And it's standing there on a tee. You can't hit the ball because it's paralysis by analysis. And I think that's what's wrong a lot with this team. And I think they're in love with the long ball, but that's me. But I want to thank you guys for coming on tonight and trying to solve this. And I hope if they listen to this, they'll get some ideas from us, or and I hope they make some moves, and we will do this again in the winter, and again. But anybody want to push anything? I think Len did enough work, but Len, Jeff,
always plugging.
You know what? I will do a plug. The Hall of Fame Veterans Committee is up voting in December. I encourage everybody to go to Twitter or Facebook or whatever you can, contact the Hall of Fame, and push for Gil Hodges to be inducted this year. I mean, it's time.
Did we know any of the members on the veteran committee this year?
No.
And is a manager allowed to be on it or not?
On the committee?
Yeah,
I suppose so.
Oh, okay. Well, no, because I know when Baines got in, Harold Baines.
It was a manager.
A lot. Right? They said that Tony La Russa was on it and pushed and really bullied everybody into putting him in. So I was just wondering if he can be on the committee again. Yes. We don't want him on.
Look, they vote every 10 years. So I'm going to pull for three guys: Gil Hodges, Buck O'Neill, and
Doc Adams.
Doc Adams.
Okay.
For people wondering who Doc Adams is, shame on you. Look him up.
Or just check out their podcast and listen to his granddaughter, great-granddaughter.
Great-great-granddaughter. Yes. Yeah. What podcast is that you're referring to?
Baseball and Barbecue. Go check it out. And while you're checking that out, also check out the Baseball Talk radio show, which I do with my good friend Rich Baxter, who's back. He was on a little bit of a vacay there, and but he's back now with me. Every Sunday morning we record that and try to release it that afternoon. And check out my golf podcast called Chip Shots. It's on YouTube and also on anchor.fm for audio version if you prefer. Though by the looks of the numbers, not too many people prefer the audio version. So we may just stick to a video version soon. But anyway, Barry, thanks so much for coming on tonight.
You're welcome.
Anything you want to plug?
No, could have done without the Biden remark, though, but that's another story for another day.
Well, you got to watch that town hall, and you'll see why I said that.
Yeah,
I mean, I could stand here like this. Jeff,
Len, cut your losses there, please. It was a good show until it was a good show anyway. Would have liked to have gotten into how to fix baseball, shorten these games because they're unwatchable, especially
that's for sure.
That John Smoltz is doing the commentary on.
You have to do what I do. I watch it without the voice on.
Yeah, Jeff, you mentioned that too. I think that's what we're gonna do. But the games are still so damn long. It's
yeah.
Well, it's very hard to watch this.
And they're losing their target, which should be their target, the youth.
I think.
So I don't. This is the confusion of Rob Manfred. They want to get younger people involved in the game, but these games are on too late. Too late. I said on Baseball Talk Radio Show they should be starting this a half hour, an hour earlier. I don't think Wheel of Fortune being off of a station for a week is going to hurt anybody. Or Jeopardy, people will give it up if they're baseball fans.
People love Jeopardy, though.
Yeah, but
it's the pace of the game that got to get fixed. Another show for that, because I know I have a lot to say, and I know, Jeff, we were talking about it the other day, but these 4.5 hour games, when the score is 3-1 and there's, like, say, 8 total hits in the game, there's something really wrong there. And even the announcers allude to it now and realize how ridiculous it is. But anyway, talking about a lengthy show, I think our podcast is running a little longer than it should have. But it was a good one. I enjoyed it, with the one exception. But all in all, it was an excellent show. And I look forward to doing it again real soon when the Mets have a general manager, a manager, and hopefully there's a collective bargaining agreement in place and we get to play a full 2022 season.
Well, I'm amazed they got the 2021 season in, but they did full season. So good on them for that. All right, that's going to wrap it up for this week's show. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, I want to thank my guests, Jeff and Len and Barry, and I forget who the hell I am now, but
Gary Mack.
Everybody have a good week out there. Hit the subscribe button and hit that smash button if you're watching on YouTube. The YouTube analytic people love it, and so do I. So please subscribe, and you'll help grow the show and let us expand to new listeners. So until next time, remember, keep the faith, stay optimistic, and
let's go Mets!
Mets. And I'll see you next time on another edition of Mets Musings.